there's no escaping every level of expansion in your business requires you as the leader to up-level. And I want to share with you some of my biggest takeaways from the mastermind that we just had, because some of them were really, really eye-opening and will shape the course of my business. There's certain things that will get you from 0 to 6 figures, and then it's very different things that will get you from 6 figures to 7 figures a year, but we need to double down on that even more. I think everyone listening to this, you can find a way to utilize this. I could see around the room as Adam was breaking this down how impactful this was, because I think everyone at the mastermind realized that, gosh, I was almost disqualifying 75% of people when I was only speaking to the 25. So this was huge for me. I left that room feeling clearer on what I want, feeling excited about the future. Although I've got a decent sized business with the coaching company, I'm living in chaos. Hey, so welcome back to episode 2 of the Expansion podcast. I really enjoyed putting episode 1 together, and I'm really excited for where this podcast could go. And already for episode 2, I have something of a potential theme emerging. I'm calling this episode Titan Takeaways because just last week I hosted and facilitated our Titan Mastermind. And it's an incredible group of entrepreneurs that come together once a quarter. And for 2 days, we share what's working in our businesses, but a true mastermind. And when I say true mastermind, a lot of masterminds in our space right now, and perhaps that you've heard about in the past, it's called a mastermind, but really there's one person at the front that everyone's there to learn from. And so that's closer to a coaching program. A true mastermind would be a bunch of very smart people getting together that all have mutual value to share. No one in the room feels like the smartest one in the room. And then we open up about what's going on, the good, the bad, and we share. And that's what we do at Titan. And it happened just last week. And it was a mastermind that I'll just give you very quickly the backstory. And then I want to share with you some of my biggest takeaways from the mastermind that we just had, because some of them were really, really eye-opening and will shape the course of my business moving forward. But very quickly, the backstory is there's no decent mastermind here in the UK, or at least there wasn't until we started Titan. All of the good ones seem to be over the Atlantic. There are some decent ones over in America. And so, long story short, I launched this by just getting my buddies together. Friends of mine that I know have very successful coaching businesses, service-based businesses, agencies that are already doing, multiple 7 figures a year, some of them 8 figures a year. And I cast the vision for what I wanted, which was a mastermind like I just described. And luckily, they all caught on to that vision and decided to be a part of it. And it started just getting 10 of us together in a room. And we just had an epic 2 days. And what it's become now is phenomenal. We've got a really close-knit community and mastermind. There's about 30 of us in the group now. And every single time we meet, there are massive takeaways around that room for everyone involved. But even for me, as the host and the facilitator of the group, I get a tremendous amount of value from it every single time. And I've got some notes in front of me from some of the biggest ones from the mastermind that we just had. So without further ado, I'm going to get into some of these because I think they'll really help you as well. To give you an idea, in case you're not only new to our podcast, albeit episode 2, but perhaps you're new to my world and my community. One of my bigger businesses is a marketing education company. It's a coaching company. And we're hovering around that kind of 5-6 million a year. We're on a journey up to the 10 million a year. And so that just gives you an idea of kind of where we're at, because there's certain things that will get you from 0 to 6 figures, and then it's very different things that will get you from 6 figures to 7 figures a year. It's very different things that will get you from 7 to multi-7. And then again, it's a whole new set of skills and direction for your business to get up to 8. And so there's certain things that I'm looking for and needing at the moment. And so if I share with you some of those things, I do think some of them trickle back down to earlier levels, and you'll receive a tremendous amount of value. And if you like this episode, then do let me know, some way, shape or form. Comment on this episode. Let me know, because what I could do is something of a theme where every time we host our Titan Mastermind, I come straight to the podcast and I share with you the biggest takeaways. So without further ado, let's get into this. One of the first big takeaways for me was the conversations around the room surrounding back end renewals and upgrades, and what we were talking about is, for everybody in the room, again, we've all got quite big businesses in that room. You've got your initial flagship programs, right? Whether you're an agency, you've got your core program, that's the one you like to sell, or your core offering, a service provider or a business coach or whatever the case may be. There's the core offer, yeah? And then we can have entry-level products, and these are designed not to be the big money makers. The core offer is the big money maker. But you can have some entry-level products, and these really, I call them feeder funnels or feeder offers. They're feeding up into the business. They're not the ones that is going to explode the revenue of the business, but it might go and find you more leads. It might go and find you more buying leads, and then we can feed them up. But then we've got back end. And that's what we're talking about right now. It's the stuff that happens once someone has become a client. Yeah? They've become a client or they've become a high-ticket customer, and now what are we doing with them after the time in the current program, in the flagship program? And what's interesting about getting in a room of people playing the game at this kind of level is that what you find is everyone in the room is focused, because it's a very focused group of people, but we're perhaps focused on slightly different things. And so just by hearing what some of the other people in the room are focusing on, it allows you to go, well, shoot, I'm not focusing on that at all. But then someone around the room will look at what you're focusing on, and that's a revelation to them. And that's, of course, where the shared value comes in. And so for me, some of the stuff that was focused on, it's going to change now. I'm focused on the sales of my core program. I'm focused on making that a great program, and then I'm focused on the front end feeder stuff, and I was neglecting the back end. And so then I'm talking to some people around the room, and they're focusing heavily on the back end and nothing on the front end. So I'm able to provide them value there, and I'm able to receive tremendous value from them on the back end. And so here's some of the things that we talked about that are very helpful for me, and I think will be for you as well. When someone comes through your flagship program, one of the indicators that is a successful program, that people are getting what they needed and getting what they paid for, is that they should want to stay around in your world, and they should want to move up and do something else with you. And we've got two problems. Number one is we've got a problem if you don't have an offer that they can move up to. Right? If they're in your current program and they're loving it and they want to stick around, but there isn't a next step, then that's an issue because you're leaving money on the table. But there's another issue, which is you might have the back end offer and no one's moving up to it. And that would indicate, and here's the painful topic, that would indicate that you don't actually have a very good program. The flagship program's not working, because if people aren't moving up, that means that they're not seeing the desire or the interest in moving up, or they're not getting the result in the current program that they're in. And so I took away from our meeting that, firstly, I need to focus more on the offer that I have after my initial flagship. I've got a program called Elite, and that is our primary flagship coaching program. That's where we help people to coaches and service providers and experts. We help them to build a webinar funnel. We help them to craft that presentation that will turn cold prospects into hot, ready-to-buy clients. We help them turn on paid advertising, and then we help them do their phone sales to build a marketing and sales acquisition machine. So that's what we do in Elite. After Elite, my equivalent of a back-end offer is expansion. And expansion is where people are ready to grow and scale now because they got the initial result in their with their acquisition machine, and we weren't getting enough upgrades to expansion, and so this was a real eye opener for me, because now I'm able to assess this in every way. If we're not getting many upgrades from Elite to expansion, why is that? And I've identified a few things. Number one, we're not talking about it enough, so we're not making it clear to all of our Elite clients that we have something that they can move to next. We're not mentioning the name expansion throughout their time in Elite. We're not allowing them to even hear that name so that it's not a surprise when we get to the end. We were also heavily protecting our expansion program, in the sense that when someone joins my expansion mastermind, they get up close and personal access to me personally. And I was very protective of that because I don't want to hang out with any weirdos. And so we actually just weren't allowing many people in. And although we had this back end offer, the doors were basically closed. Well, that's not a very good back end offer. And thirdly, we need to make sure that although we already focus on client success, and it's a really, really big focus for us, and we just crossed $100 million in reported revenue between us and our clients, and so we know that what we're doing is great, and we know it's helping a lot of people, but we need to double down on that even more. Client success is so important, that a client comes in, that they not only love the process, but that they win, and they get the result. And if they do that, and they're aware of the next step, and and the door is open to them to be able to move up, that's when back end sales will start to kick in. And so that was a really big one for me, and we're going to focus on that a lot now moving forward in the next quarter, and it was awesome. And second big takeaway, and this was specifically a guy called Adam Stott, who I'm looking at having on the podcast here very, very soon. Perhaps I'll even ask him about this very topic, because it was really awesome, actually. He shared the 4 personality types of your potential buyers, but also then the clients that are in your programs and how you can deliver to them. Now, there's loads of different personality profiles, right? There's loads of different personality tests that you can take, but I really liked the way that he broke this down. I think everyone listening to this, you can find a way to utilize this in your business as well. It was a deck of cards. You got spades, you got clubs, you got diamonds, and you got hearts. And he broke down that there are all of the people that are in your audience or your potential clients, they will fit into one of these 4 suits. Yeah, spades are your go-getters. These are the people that want fast results. They want to win. They want to win quickly. They're tremendously competitive, and they just want to go, 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 right? We're going to speak to them differently to how we would speak to the spades. And the spades are people who are far more analytical. They're the more logical thinker. So yes, they want the big result, but they need it step by step, and they need to know exactly what those steps look like, and they need to be really clear on the plan before they proceed. And if they're going to purchase a program, they first need to understand exactly what's included and exactly how it works, and those are your spades. Then you've got your diamonds. Your diamonds are the fun people. They just want entertainment. They want to have a good time. And there's obviously overlap with all of these, and so it's a case that everyone's got their primary personality type, but then of course they're going to have traits of the others as well. So it's not that the diamonds only want to have fun and don't want to be successful. Of course they want to be successful as well, but one of their primary drivers is that they want to have fun along the way and have a good time doing it. And then finally we've got the hearts, and the hearts are your very emotional people. These are the people that community means a lot to them. They want to feel a part of something. They want to feel special. They want to feel known. They want to feel seen, and they want to feel loved. And those are your hearts. And I could see around the room as Adam was breaking this down how impactful this was, because I think everyone at the mastermind realized that we're only really catering to perhaps the personality profile that we fit into. And I'll share with you what this means, because I saw this for myself. I'm primarily a spade, okay? I like to win. So does Pete behind the camera. We're both very competitive, aren't we, Pete? And that's a driver for me. I like to win. I want to win, and I want to go fast, and I don't want to delay. I don't like wasting time. If there's ever a wasted moment when I'm in focused work time, then that irritates me. I want to make the most of every moment we've got. I mean, to the point where if I'm loading a browser screen I mean, while that's loading, I've opened up the next tab and I'm getting the next tab opened while that one's loading, and then I can back. Like I'm saving seconds where I can, because wasted time's frustrating to me. So I'm primarily a spade, but there's elements of the others, right? I love to have fun. We've actually got it up on our office wall. Love marketing, hate boring. Boring sucks. So I want to have fun in everything that I do in the business, but spade is the primary focus. One of the big takeaways that I took away from these 4 personalities is I identified myself as a spade, and then, and this is really, really important, I identified my marketing and my sales approach with spades. So what I was doing is I'm going out there with my advertisements, and I'm going out there with my webinars, and I'm speaking very heavily in spade language. I'm talking about winning fast. I'm talking about revenue and the income that you can generate with your coaching business. And that was a really big focus. The financial result was a really big focus. And when I step back, I go, oh, shoot, there's lots of spades that would be listening to my marketing, and that they don't necessarily want to hear about, revenue this and income that and fast results. And they want to get a really clear step-by-step plan. And we've got the diamonds that want to feel a part of something, and community and having fun and entertainment, and then you've got the hearts that they want to feel a part of something really special, and feel loved and feel seen, and have an impact. The hearts are the people that really want to have a huge impact on the potential clients that they're going to serve. And gosh, I was almost disqualifying 75% of people when I was only speaking to the 25. So this was huge for me. So when I left, I already started to speak to my marketing team, and I said, we need to start to change the way we're marketing to include these other personality types. And it also trickles into delivery too, because once you generate clients, in the way in which you deliver to those clients, in your training and in your coaching calls, and in the way that you facilitate that, you need to help the spades and the clubs and the diamonds and the hearts. And so that's been massive for me. In fact, it's been so big that I've started to realize what I actually enjoy about my business and where I want it to go moving forward. And I actually love the idea of my programs catering to all 4 of these personality types, and starting to draw this in. And so we've already made a switch. I mean, we're talking within a week. I've been talking to my team about how we're going to make some changes into our expansion program, because again, that's for people that are already 6-figure entrepreneurs and they want to get up to 7 figures. Well, I don't just want to make it about the coaching anymore that they get with me and my team. That's one thing, and we can give them a kick up the butt and give them the education that they need, and drive them forward and help them succeed. But some people want to feel a part of an amazing community of people. And we do have that with expansion, but we haven't allowed that to flourish. And we've got some really smart people in that group. So we're going to be focusing a lot on the community now, and bringing in lots of elements where there's collaboration and mutual value shared. And I'm going to get onto awards in just a moment. But we're going to be incorporating more awards into what we do so people can win stuff, which is the fun element. And then I want to, connect people as well, and bring in high-profile connections to my clients that otherwise would perhaps be, untouchable. We've had guests at our events, such as Stephen Bartlett and, Neil Patel, and we've had loads of other just incredible guests. Ali Abdul, a huge YouTuber, now a very close friend, and we want more of this. And so, at our upcoming Expansion Mastermind, that's actually happening very soon at the time of recording this, we're going to have Sarah Davies. If you're in the UK and on the entrepreneurial scene, you will be very familiar with her. She's on Dragon's Den, our equivalent to Shark Tank, for those of you that are in America or Australia. Just a fantastic entrepreneur and a very high-profile entrepreneur. And we've got her coming to our Expansion Mastermind so that we can give our clients that feeling of proximity, and we up level when we do that. But that's catering to potentially some other personality types, not just the spades. So anyway, I'm going to move on from this one, but I think that I'll try and get Adam Stott on the podcast as quickly as possible to break this down further, because it really was awesome. Next was awards. I mentioned this just briefly there. We talked around the room about the fact that we've all already got some kind of award-based incentives for our clients, but again, there may be one-dimensional, and it might even be linked to the personality type. And I realized for us, that was the case. We give out these beautiful, shiny silver and gold awards when you hit certain revenue milestones in your business, and you attribute that revenue back to the help and support that my company, Add Clients, has given you. And that's how we know that we've tracked up to 100 million in reported revenue now, which is really exciting because they have to prove that revenue to get their award. But that's all very financial based, That's just all about the money that you're generating. But how can we create awards for other things? How can we create awards to do with the impact that someone's having on the group? How can we have awards for the person that's showing up the most? How can we have awards for the person that implemented the quickest? How can we have awards for the community member of the month, the person that was the most supportive for everyone else in the group? How can we have the most valuable contributor, perhaps the person that at that particular meeting provided the most value to everyone else in our client group? And so we're going to do more of that. I think that's a really awesome tip, and we're definitely going to go ahead and do that. We're going to create awards for lots of different things so that everyone, based on these different personality types, has something that they can win. Some people are just not driven by making loads of money very fast. Some people are driven far more by the impact that they're having, and it's irrespective of the money that they're making. So we need to find a way of awarding those clients, and by doing that, they will feel like they're getting out of our program what they needed and what they wanted, which is really exciting as well. Switching gears a little bit, another big takeaway for me was that although I've got a decent sized business with the coaching company, I'm living in chaos. And I teach my clients that you can't scale mess, and you've got to keep things simple, and you've got to keep things organized. And we've allowed ourselves to one way or another get to a place where the business is actually a little bit messy, and we don't have SOPs for everything. We're not tracking absolutely everything. And when I say that, I mean we're not tracking everything in every department, because there are certain departments that we're meticulous on the numbers, like marketing. Really important that every number is tracked in marketing because it aids your decisions moving forward. But we weren't tracking everything as best we could in other departments, client success, operations, So I realized that we needed something of a project management tool. And you might say, John, that's crazy. You got a business that's generated $30 million over the past little while, and you don't have a project management tool? No. We were just all on random Google Sheets, trying to duct tape them all together and having random meetings and notes on an iPad. No, we needed to get to a point where we actually have a project management tool. There's a bunch out there. We were talking about which ones everyone's using in the room. Monday.com came up a lot, and so we've jumped on there. Love it or hate it. I'm sure I'll get some comments, people saying, don't use Monday, use this one, it's better. I'm sure they all get the job done if we just double down and get the stuff on there that we need to. So we've launched on Monday, and already we're seeing the teams more cohesive, and we've got the shared data that we need. So that's been really, really cool. Another confirmation, a big takeaway from this past mastermind, but it was a confirmation because the plans were already in motion. But it's this right here. It's our expansion podcast. We've been talking about doing a podcast for a very long time. I've had conversations with Pete behind the camera right now for years, on and off, about doing our podcast. We like the idea of it. We feel we've got lots of value to provide. I see the benefit of having a podcast. I feel it's great for getting our message out there. I feel what we have is good and more people need to hear it. And a podcast is a vehicle that we should have been using for a long time. And what was really cool, and what also helps about these types of masterminds is you can have these accountability pillars, these timestamps in your year. Every time we get together with the Expansion Mastermind, we share, we open the mastermind by sharing with the group something that we said we were going to do last time and that we did. And then we end the mastermind by sharing something that we're going to do before the next time we meet. And so that's really good for accountability around the room. And one of the things that I said at the previous mastermind was that we're going to launch this darn podcast. And so I said it to the group, I put it out there, I couldn't go back on it. And then I came back to the office and got with Pete and we made a plan. And lo and behold, here we are. The studio is set up. We have the tech ready to go. We even have this fancy little expansion sign on the podcast mic that Pete put together. So we're an official podcast because we have a logo. All right. And it's been great. You know, it's been really, really awesome so far. Like I said, episode 2, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. We've got the next few episodes planned out, and I'm really excited for where this can go. And I've got big plans for this, you know. I've already got my hit list of guests that I want to have on this podcast, many of whom I'm very confident that we'll be able to get on the podcast. And these are people that you would typically have to work up quite a reputation to get these types of people to show up on your show. You know, you might have to have 100 podcast episodes and get your podcast to a very substantial size before some of these people would start to say yes. But I'm in a luxurious position where I have lots of great friends in the industry that I'm confident will want to come and be a part of this. And so expect very early on in this podcast journey that we're going to get some people that will provide tremendous value to you very early. In fact, I'd love to hear from you in the comments as to who you would like to see on this podcast. Who do you think would be an epic guest? And if I can get them straight away, I will. If it'll take some working on, then I will add it to the hit list. So please do let me know who you want to see on here. We were talking also about how we can incentivize. This is going to sound really patronizing, and I don't mean it to sound like this. I'm just wording it wrong. But how we can train good behavior in our clients, because setting expectations for how things are done and how we operate in our programs and building something of a client culture. I've already found a better way of saying it, not training behavior, but creating the right culture within our client groups is really important. And we spent quite a bit of time on that because no one wants troublemakers in their program. No one wants weirdos in their program. And, one bad apple can ruin a bunch. You know, one bad client who is, just causing trouble in your client groups, it can start to spread and cause problems in all areas. And so we've got to set a good culture. We talk about culture in your team, but we don't often talk about culture within the way you deliver to your clients. That was really important and just some food for thought, and you should give that some thought as well. But one specific thing, we were talking about this. Dean Graziosi says when in his property ventures, when a tenant would pay on time the first time, what he would do is he would send them a gift. He would send them a card. He would send them some flowers, maybe send them a box of chocolates. And in the card, he would thank them for the fact that they're a great tenant who pays on time. And what he's doing there is he's speaking to their identity, you know? He's speaking to the type of person that they are and now the type of person that they want to remain. So by investing in a $30 card and gift, what he's done is he's put a stamp on that being their identity. They are the type of person that when they say they're going to do something, they do it, and they commit to paying rent, and they're going to pay on time. Now that person would feel uncomfortable ever being late on rent ever again, right? Because they're reminded of that moment. And so we were talking about that as a really helpful cultural piece for educating our clients on just kind of how we do things. And I do think there's something important to be said there, you know, with clients. If they jump onto a coaching program and they've committed to being in that program and we've allowed them onto a payment plan as a goodwill gesture, right? The program costs X, but to help you financially be able to get into the program, we'll break it up for you. Well, there is a commitment there, you know, and that client does need to fulfill on those payments just as we're fulfilling on the program that we promised to deliver. So we were talking about how we can build that into our programs. And And so, what we could do, and here's an idea for you, is the very first time a client of yours pays their payment plan subscription, but they pay on time and they pay in full, then you could send them a gift, or you could send them perhaps a voice message, send them some personalized message that thanks them that they're the type of person that respects the agreement within a program, pays on time, that they're a great client, and we value them because of that. We really thank them for doing that. And again, that's going to, of course, have an unquantifiable in the beginning, but no doubt effective, part to play in the rebuilds that then, carry on from that point forward. So I thought that was really cool. And we spent a bit of time talking about that. Couple more I want to share with you, because there were just so many, and I was trying to prepare my notes for this, because I could probably do a 4-hour podcast on this, but we won't go that long. There was a very simple phrase that a friend of mine, Alex Jeffries, said, and he got it from a friend of his. I believe he quoted Lee McIntyre, who said, "You can't beat a margin problem with volume. You can't beat a margin problem with volume." And I thought this was very insightful. This landed with me, and I gave it a great deal of thought, because we're in a place right now where our business is growing and scaling, and we're bringing on a lot of new team members. We're hiring some more senior team, and we're going to the next level, right? We're wanting to get to that $1 million a month in the coaching business as quickly as possible, and I truly believe we'll get there pretty soon, actually, with the plan that we've got. And you have to go into a bit of a dip when you got to the next level. I talk about it as peaks and valleys with our clients. You're on the top of a peak, everything's going well in your business, and you can decide to stay on that peak and just maintain, or you can look to the next peak that looks really attractive, and the game up there looks fun. But to get there, you have to go back down, climb down from the peak you're currently on, and you go into a bit of a valley again, and then you can work your way back up. So to get to the next level, you end up taking a couple of steps back to be able to move forward again. And some of these things can creep in. Your margins get tighter, and it can be a challenge. And so there's a temptation to think, okay, well, hold on a minute. Profit margin has gone from, let's say, 30%, net profit on cash in any given month, and things are looking good, to now we're trying to, scale, and, margins breaking. We're going from 30 to 20% to 15% to 10%. And if you're down at that 10% net profit on cash, then the temptation is to go, well, if we can just quadruple all of the numbers that we're doing, well, although we're at 10%, we're still going to be making far more than we were right now. But again, we talked about this, and you can't fix a margin problem with volume, meaning don't move on from the valley that you're in. Don't move on from the new foundation that you're building until you've really tightened things up. You've started to implement things for the next phase, right? You're making those new hires, you're putting new growth plans in place, you're upping your ad spend. All of these things are starting to happen, and it really it's causing friction in lots of areas. And so you first then have to deal with that chaos, tighten it up, build a good solid foundation for what you've got, make sure your margins are still healthy, and then you can start to build and grow on the foundation you've just been building, and then you add volume on top. And that was the general consensus around the room, and it's something that I'm going to really focus on moving forward. This was another one that was quite prominent for me, is that there's no escaping every level of expansion in your business requires you as the leader to up level, right? I'm the CEO of my business. I still at times wear the CMO hat, but primarily I'm the CEO. And there is a temptation to think that we can make some new hires, and as long as we hire the right person in the right position, they're just going to take care of that area, and I don't need to be aware of what's going on there. They are just going to handle it, and it's going to be sorted. And what I've been realizing over the last few months as I've been making some new hires is that's actually not the case. And it's actually bad practice for me to assume that I can fit someone into a certain position and all of my problems in that area are going to go away and I can sit back and focus on other things. I still need to maintain a level of leadership, and my leadership skills have to improve. And I believe they have been over the last few months. So I've been learning new things about who I now have to be in this next season. If we're trying to get to a level of our business that we've not been to before, again, the immature version of John would think, okay, well, I've gotten to where I've gotten to and I've up-leveled to this point, and now I need to position that person there, that person there, that person there, that person there, and I can kind of stay where I am and everything's looking good. The reality is that can be the plan, but John has to up-level again. And I have to make sure that my skills are being sharpened, that I'm learning new things, that I'm being a better leader every day, and that I'm up-leveling. It just doesn't stop. It can't stop. And you just go through these different seasons. I've personally gone through a season of learning how to lead over the past few years, and leading teams and perhaps leading managers, right? But now I'm coming into a season where I need to lead leaders, and it's a whole new ball game, and so there's a new skill set needed there. But it's been fun, actually. It's a fun journey, and with everything, I need to think bigger. And this sounds a little bit like a grey area, but it's on my notes, so I'm going to say it. Coming to a mastermind like the one we just had, one of the biggest takeaways is quite simply walking away thinking bigger. You've got the specific takeaways around the room, and you've got the specific notes of action items that you're going to implement. But one of the things that's just so cool is being sat around that room and listening to what's going on in other people's businesses, very big, very successful businesses, and you can't help but feel inspired and feel creative and think bigger. And we just had a new Titan member join, who has one of the bigger businesses in the room, and he's doing multiple 8 figures a year. I believe don't quote me on this, I could be wrong. It's somewhere in the region of 40 to 50 million a year, but he's doing it with the same type of stuff that everyone else in the room is doing. He's doing that, running events, selling coaching, and selling courses, right? And so just, again, being in that room, hearing what's going on, you can't help but think bigger, because you're seeing what's possible, and you're getting excited for the future. And so I left that room feeling clearer on what I want, feeling excited about the future, and I'm feeling excited about the plans that we're putting in place. So there you have it. Titan takeaways from the mastermind that we just had. It was an awesome time together. I hope that was helpful for you to hear. If you've enjoyed this episode, then do let me know, because like I said, there could be something of a theme emerging here, where every time we meet, I can give you our Titan takeaways, and perhaps even when we meet with our expansion mastermind too, there's always great stuff shared there. I can give the takeaways from that as well. So thanks for listening in, and I hope to see you, not see you, hope you tune in for our next episode of the Expansion podcast, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon.